Let's talk about one of the biggest questions of our time, our energy future. And right at the heart of that whole debate is a powerful and, yeah, pretty controversial technology that's changing fast, nuclear power. So the question is, are we standing on the edge of a brand new atomic age? Let's dive in and break it down. All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll get a handle on just how massive our need for energy really is. Then, we'll explore how the nuclear reactor itself is being totally reinvented. After that, we're going to tackle the big, tough questions head-on. We'll even uncover a wild new way of thinking about nuclear waste. And finally, we'll weigh it all up and see if we can come to a verdict.
So, first things first, why are we even talking about this right now? Why is it so important? Well, it all boils down to one simple, massive problem. Our planet has a huge and growing thirst for clean, reliable power. To get a sense of the scale here, just look at what nuclear is already doing. Just in the last year, the nuclear reactors we already have running around the world prevented over 2 billion tons of CO2 from getting into the atmosphere. I mean, that's a staggering number. To put it in perspective, that's like taking every single airplane out of the sky twice.
But here's the catch. Our hunger for electricity is just exploding, especially with things like AI and all the data centers popping up. And, while wind and solar are amazing and absolutely essential, the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. We need a clean source of power that can just run and run 24/7. That's what they call baseload power. And that's exactly where this whole idea of a nuclear comeback gets really interesting.
So how is nuclear stepping up to meet this challenge? Well, you can forget those giant, sprawling power plants from the past. This is not your grandfather's nuclear power. The technology itself is going through a complete reinvention.
And I want you to meet the star of this new atomic story, the Small Modular Reactor, or SMR. The whole idea is to think smaller, simpler, and build them in a totally different way. The two magic words you need to remember here are factory fabricated and modular. And this, right here, shows you just how different the whole philosophy is. We're talking about a shift away from these massive, one-off construction projects that take a decade to a model where the reactors are built like cars on an assembly line and then shipped to the site. They could be up and running in just a year or two. It's kind of like the jump from building a giant custom mainframe computer to just plugging in servers at a data center.
But it's not just SMRs. It's like a whole new world of reactor designs is opening up. These are the so-called Generation 4 designs, and they use all sorts of different things for coolant. Some use super hot helium, others use liquid sodium, or even molten salt. And each one offers some really cool advantages in safety, getting more power out of the fuel, and even dealing with waste.
Okay, check this out. This is a concept for a molten salt reactor, and it's pretty wild. Instead of solid fuel rods, the nuclear fuel is literally dissolved into a liquid salt that also cools the reactor. This isn't just a small tweak, it's a completely different way of thinking about how a reactor works, and it could have some incredible built-in safety features.
All right, this all sounds incredibly cool, right? But let's be real. It's not all smooth sailing. Advanced nuclear is facing some really big hurdles. So it's time to tackle those big, yeah but questions that, honestly, we should all be asking.
And the first roadblock is surprisingly simple. It's the fuel. What do you actually put in these things? Because it turns out, a lot of these advanced designs can't just run on the same stuff our current reactors use.
They need something called HALEU, and you can basically think of it as high-octane fuel for a nuclear reactor. It just packs more punch into a smaller package, which is exactly what you need for these new, compact reactor designs.
And here is the massive, glaring problem. The National Academies of Sciences put it bluntly. Right now, the US can't make this stuff. Until just very, very recently, the only commercial supplier on the planet was Russia. You can see why that's a huge, huge issue for energy security and for getting this new industry off the ground.
And the fuel problem is just the beginning. There's the huge question of what on earth we do with all the nuclear waste we already have. We're talking over 95,000 metric tons stored in the US alone, with no final destination. There are real environmental concerns, like thermal pollution, and of course the absolutely critical need to make sure all this nuclear material stays safe and secure. It's a lot to solve.
So for any of this to become a reality, these challenges have to be met. And you know what's fascinating? Some of the most innovative, out-of-the-box thinking is being aimed at that single biggest problem of them all, nuclear waste.
Okay, this is where the whole conversation gets turned on its head. It all starts with reframing the problem, with one simple, powerful question. What if that spent nuclear fuel isn't actually waste at all? What if it's a valuable resource? Get this. The stuff we call spent fuel, it's still got about 95% of its usable energy locked inside. It's not empty. Through a process called reprocessing, we could actually pull that useful material back out and use it again. Doing that would massively shrink the amount of long-term waste we have to deal with.
This is the whole idea behind what's called closing the fuel cycle. You take the spent fuel, you reprocess it to separate out the good stuff, you recycle that into new fuel for these advanced reactors, and you can even repurpose some of what's left to create things like clean hydrogen or even tritium, which is a key fuel for the fusion reactors of the future. You're basically turning a massive problem into a sustainable solution.
All right, we've seen the cool new tech, and we've looked the big problems straight in the eye. So where does that leave us? Let's step back for a second and try to weigh the pros and cons to figure out the verdict. So in the pro column, the arguments are powerful. You've got low carbon power that runs 24/7. It's incredibly energy dense and takes up a tiny amount of land. And it's super reliable. It runs about 83% of the time on average, way more than anything else. But in the con column, you have the waste problem that won't go away, the safety and security risks that you have to manage perfectly, the high upfront costs, and that issue of thermal pollution.
But look, if the number one goal, the whole reason we're even having this conversation, is to fight climate change, then this chart right here really says it all. When you look at the total carbon footprint over the entire life of a power source, from building it, to running it, to taking it down, nuclear is right down there with wind. It is one of the absolute cleanest sources of energy we have, period. So it all comes down to this. Building the energy system of the future is going to require some really tough trade-offs. There's just no silver bullet, no perfect answer. So the ultimate question for all of us is this. Is that promise of clean, reliable, around-the-clock power from this new generation of nuclear worth tackling the really complex, really difficult challenges that come along with it? That's the debate that's going to shape our energy story for decades to come.